Welcome back now, viewers. From the Red Fort, Prime Minister Modi has given a clarion call today to India's Yuva Shakti, declaring Gen Z the biggest stakeholders in the Viksit Bharat dream. Unveiling the Viksit with Gen Z initiative, he laid out a roadmap ranging from AI skilling to a nationwide Olympic talent hunt. In a major announcement, the Prime Minister promised free online coaching for students, claiming it would save Indian families lakhs of crores spent on private coaching every year. His message to Gen Z was clear: skill up, rise up and lead India's charge toward a developed nation by 2047. Let's welcome into this discussion our panelists. I'm joined in by former Indian Air Force officer and fighter jet pilot, retired Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine Vinod, and I also have with me former Indian Navy officer, retired Captain Shyam Kumar. Thank you very much to you both for joining us, and a very happy Independence Day to you. Group Captain Augustine Vinod, I'd start with you. Prime Minister's focus today in his address has really been on the youth of the country. We've seen the developments in the country recently with the youth protests in Delhi and other parts of the country as well. Amidst all of these, Prime Minister Modi intending to include and have active participation of the youth in governance, in issues of development, democracy. How do you view the announcements that he has made today for the youth of the country?
Great question. In fact, in the backdrop of what happened in Jantar Mantar, I thought, and he should also, there's nothing wrong in that. I thought he is wooing his next generation of voters through positive impact and giving them dream and hope. So which is a good thing. And probably what happened in Jantar Mantar had a positive impact and effect on the current government rather than a negative impact. So that is the larger message which I thought. But the Viksit Bharat 2047, the overreaching message, and India to be a developed nation by 2047, I think is very much achievable. Yesterday, I have a copy of Vision 2020 with Dr. Abdul Kalam had written. I was reading it yesterday. By 2020, we more or less achieved what he had imagined for us. In some areas, we overachieved, in fact. I think this Vision 2047 is very much achievable. And in some areas, we could even overachieve more than what was spelled out. Now, what was spelled out was this, music to my ears, is this Saptadhara or 7 streams of strength. The bullet points of these, what I had noted down was economy and manufacturing. That is absolutely required, and there has been a great push towards that. Technology, energy, both he talked about the renewable energy as well as the nuclear energy. Critical minerals. We have a drone company, and we are struggling to get lithium polymer because we have lithium polymer, but we don't have it in the paste or battery form to make the battery. We are completely dependent on lithium polymer, and 90% of the world's lithium polymer is controlled by China. Semiconductors. So now semiconductors, remember, is like the fossil fuel. The way petrol and diesel is running the vehicles, semiconductor is going to run everything in next decade or two. So setting up semiconductor factory, being world leaders in semiconductor. Remember, when I was a kid, Taiwan used to be held that position of being world leaders in semiconductors. China took over that position down the road. It is our time to take over that particular line. Human capital, youth, national capability and strategic strength. It's a very big word, but going forward, what are we going to look at is India wants to be strategic autonomy, and technology is going to be our national power. These are a few bullet points I took away from there. India having strategic advantage both in terms of military technology as well as the 1 crore training program. Now, this is, if you ask me personally, Kriti, is a surgical strike on most of these coaching centers. So I think they are going to be out of job. The high pay, I mean, the students are paying through their nose in these coaching centers. If this takes off in the way that he has imagined or he talked about in even in next 2-3 years, coaching centers will be thing of the past.
Okay.
And 100 gigawatt nuclear energy is again, whether it is achievable and in what time frame it is achievable, that needs to be seen. But it is a very, very tall dream. Security, the threats are changing, and his emphasis on security, including the civil defense. For the first time, I think in the history of India, anyone talked about civil defense. And believe you me, not civilians do not know this.
Yes.
In Air Force and Army and Navy, we integrate civil defense during the times of war, and civil defense people are trained by us. We have an interaction every quarterly, every 6 months with the civil defense. So 2047 is our North Star. I mean, if I were to put it that way, it is going to be our North Star, and that is where we are going to go.
Yes.
So it is not a conventional Independence Day speech. It was a more of a strategic roadmap of what Modi is looking at 2047, being technologically reliant, energy secure, manufacture driven, powered by AI, capable of controlling the critical technology, all using the so-called the next generation, loosely termed as Gen Z.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that is my takeaway.
Yes, I'm gonna also wanting, I also want to introduce Raj Lakshmi Joshi and Shekhar Vijayan, who are back with us in the conversation. This one again will come to you, but I will first come to Captain Shyam Kumar, who's been waiting for with us. Captain Shyam Kumar, firstly, very happy Independence Day once again to you, and Prime Minister Modi, like. Even Group Captain Augustine was mentioning, has put a lot of focus on, not just the youth of the country, but he's really laid out a strategic roadmap for the next years ahead of India until that 47 Viksit Bharat dream is achieved. As far as the big announcements for the youth are concerned, coaching centers, which do you think are some of the most important ones? And how do you think India can integrate the youth in active democracy, in active governance?
Thank you, Jai Hind, Shano Varuna. My wishes to all the Indians and all over the world who are celebrating the 80th Independence Day of India. Great day, new visions, new sunlight, new energy, and new Shakti, new power.
True.
I think if I have read the governance of the present government from the day it has been in power, it has always given roadmaps for the country every year. And if you talk about firstly the theme of youth empowerment, we cannot forget the new education policy, the thrust on the government's IIT, IIM, medical colleges, universities, infrastructure for them, attracting the foreign students to Indian places because we make our universities more standardized, more renowned and world class, and implementing them one after another. Many changes in syllabus, many changes in curriculum of schools, colleges, vocational training, practical training, orientation-based training so that the youth get job, get empowered, and MSME, startups. We cannot forget all this. When we are talking about this year's speech, we will have to look at and link it with the continuity. It cannot happen in 1 year. Yes, there is a new thrust. Yes, today sun has risen to its peak probably to emphasis on these aspects. But yes, youth empowerment is the requirement of the day. From the days of Vivekanand, we know India's legacy, culture, it has been dependent on the youth energy. And many of our ancestors have had the Gurukul systems, they've empowered, and they had the caste creed, no basis on this. They empowered all kinds of youth. And if you see the Saptadhara of today, the seventh point which Prime Minister brought was the soft power, which we have not discussed so far. He started, although gave it as a seventh point, but India's strongest legacy is its soft power. The yoga he mentioned, the culture and the whatever we have inherited from our past, we need to remember them. We need to inculcate things from them and then fuse it with today's contemporary environment. So I take the message as a continuity from the past to the present and future. Yes, trust is very important, which he gave. He also talked about the kind of indigenization thrust that we have on defense sector, as well as the gati that he wants to give to the transportation sector. In that, he talked about the inland transportation. He talked about also the blue economy. He talked about mining at sea. These are the areas which actually has not been given that much of thrust by the previous regimes, or maybe we have missed out on this because it is costly, invisible, out of context, because we are land-based continental country. But today's energy requirement, the sea lanes of communication, the blue water economy, and the world at large in regional stability, Indian Ocean context, we have to understand these requirements, which is again empowered. Nuclear technology, 6G, space, MSME, startup, attracting crowd, women empowerment. He did not leave any stone unturned in his speech. But yes, the India's legacy, India's soft power, the past, present, and future, he has linked it very well, and he has given a new roadmap which is to be followed. And we know that these things are being followed by all the bureaucracy, all the people of the country with the same hawa, same kind of willingness towards the Viksit Bharat of the 2047. Over to you.
Right, thank you. Rajlakshmi Joshi, how well prepared is India right now to grooming our young generation, our generation next and generation alpha, regardless of whether or not you enjoy those terms are there. And we really need to build this generation for the cause of India.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, Kriti, just some time back I was telling you, I don't like this compartmentalization of the youth, because especially when it comes to this term Gen Z, that is something that I think has been crafted by certain vested interests in the West, who actually want to create this narrative, or they want to make a projection that this is a group of people who are not happy with the current administration, who are not happy with the current government. So then, even before the what happened in Nepal, even before that, on Instagram there were a whole lot of videos that were bombarded to people in India, saying that the Gen Z is not happy with the government and they want to overthrow the government.
Yes,
and
that's why the question that I think we should focus on is whether India has enough to harness the potential of this demographic dividend that we have in our favor.
Yes, absolutely. Now that is exactly why I think that PM Modi, he's speaking about this talent hunt. He's speaking about all positives of this current youth. So instead of speaking about them as Gen Z or Gen Alpha, he's speaking about the youth. He's speaking about how there is this talent hunt for people, for the youngsters between 5 and 15 years of age, which is the Gen Alpha, if you put it, term it, in that strictly. So that he's talking about talent hunt for them, targeting Olympics 2036. So where actually we aim to be hosting the Olympics. Now, again, for Gen Z, you look at the between 15 to 30 years of age. So for them, again, he's speaking about this free coaching. He's speaking about skilling them. He's speaking about jobs. He's speaking about AI, a lot of things. So he has covered a lot of ground, and he has given a very clear roadmap. Now this Saptadhara that he is talking about, that covers everything. It covers how from manufacturing right up to Atmanirbharta in defense. He speaks about the green and blue economy. He speaks about soft power. So all of that, whether it may be cinema, arts, it's a lot of things. So all of this now I think that now one thing that I always like is now just imagine that we as a country now when we were in the Commonwealth Games, I think that that was a very strong indication of how we stood. We were placed fourth in the entire ranking. And just imagine that another country that got independence on the same day as us, that is Pakistan, they just got a mere 2 medals. And even the rest of our neighbors, even them, if you see that they got just 1 or 2 medals. So all of that, when you compare with the youth of our country and just look at their achievements and see how we have grown from strength to strength and the way in which our youth has progressed. And PM Modi also spoke about how technologically and AI, he spoke about how startups, so more than 2.5 lakh startups have been registered. So he's speaking about Skyroot. He's speaking about how we have actually launched rockets. The average age of the Skyroot is 28 years. So that I think is, all these kind of things, our youth has great potential. And PM Modi is speaking about giving opportunities for each one of them, be it in education, be it in skilling them or giving them opportunities to become entrepreneurs or to become, people who will be job providers and not just job seekers. And of course, there will also be jobs. Now there were certain areas that were no-go zones, like there were these things. There were these zones around the coastline which were no-go zones. Now today they have been opened up as go-ahead zones. So all these things where there were a lot of limitations, now today we are moving with a lot of speed. PM Modi also spoke about how say maybe for the railways, he spoke about the electrification. So just look at the speed. So it took say maybe 90 years for say a 30% electrification, and in 10 years another 70% electrification. Just look at the increase in speed. So this is the kind of a message, this is the kind of a positive outreach I think that PM Modi is making to the youth. And I think that this kind of a message, instead of actually compartmentalizing them and instead of saying that Gen Z, because Gen Z, they tend to be watching a lot of Instagram reels, or they tend to be watching things on social media, and they don't really rely on news. So that is a big problem. So I think that they need to be told about all these things. They need to be told, because there is this concerted effort by vested interests to make sure that they only see certain selective videos, selective reels, and a lot of this demaghi naxalism that he was talking about. So that instead of and isolating the demaghi naxalism and giving them positive messages and reaching out to them and giving them opportunities, I think that is how we can actually make sure that the potential of our youth, which is a huge talented lot, they are not that abusive lot you were seeing, in Jantar Mantar. That was influencers. Those were not real students. Those were influencers, Kriti. So I don't like this term Gen Z, because now today it is being used in a very derogatory term, or they're being used to maybe invite large number of students or large number of youth, saying that Gen Z is upset with the government. It is not so. Gen Z are upset with different issues. It may not be definitely only with the BJP or with a certain government.
At least they are questioning. At least they have in them to raise questions where it affects them, where it interests them. Shekhar, I personally wouldn't see where India stands in comparison to Pakistan at the Commonwealth Games, or the smaller neighboring countries of ours. This is a time where we should be questioning how far are we from where China stands. How can we work with China to grow together, because we're neighbors, and animosity between India and China doesn't look good for any of the countries. How close are we to achieving what US has achieved with Indian engineers there? Indians are everywhere in the world, every sixth or fifth person in the world is is an Indian. They're contributing to the development of not just India, but rest of the countries in the world. How should we attract this back? How should we reverse the brain drain?
Kirti, मेरा तुम्हारा हमारा भारत महान. I think you just said it right. Indians are there everywhere. It's all around us as we talk. Now, I think I think what is interesting about Prime Minister Modi's speech was the fact that we are our own competition. We are not competing with anybody. We're not competing with Pakistan, China, or US. I think India is on a phase of becoming a superpower, and I think 2047 is a reality as we talk. Modi also spoke about the fact that we have overachieved on certain targets, certain things in mind. I think what India really needs to focus on is getting the systems in place, in terms of infrastructure, getting those things in place where things don't fall or break. We have the potential, we have the talent. I think we are very talented. We have a lot of potential. We're a very heterogeneous community. We have got so much of versatility. There's so much of potential in India, not just in India. And I think, like Radhalakshmi is talking about the fact that we won so many medals in Commonwealth. We got this from the smaller hinterlands of India, not from the cities. So that goes to show that the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities has got so much of talent. There is so much of ability. I think what's really important for the government is how do you harness that ability? How do you harness the talent?
Yeah.
How do you listen to the youngsters? That's going to be more important. If you don't listen to them, then you'll have problems. I think what's really important is Prime Minister Modi is a visionary. He set the vision in place. He's told this is what I want to do by 2047. And I'm sure he also spoke about the fact that it's about under promising, over delivering. He also mentioned that in more ways than one. I think what's critical and important is if the vision is drawn, how are they going to make sure it's achieved? And I think that's where he has to get everybody in it together. It's like one for all for one, and making sure that the talent is harnessed, making sure that you are making sure that the youngsters are recognized and heard, and you involve them. Because if you don't involve them, then negativity creeps in and then they start doing negative things. I think the whole point is we have to become owners of minerals, semiconductors. We have to have a supply chain management outfit of our own. That's how we would compete with the likes of US or even China. I think conversation should not be about Pakistan at all, because they don't even deserve to be on the court with us. The whole point is, how does India become just, not just India's good, but now I think India has to become great. I think that should be the objective. How do we become great from here? Because we have the ability, we have the talent, we can all speak so well, we can all talk so well, we can speak multiple languages. There is no place like India. And I'm not saying this because today's 15th of August. It's a fact. We're all proud Indians. But having pride is important, being proud about it is important. But how do we deliver is also equally important. That's why he has to get the whole populace of our wonderful nation and get everybody in it together. As a visionary, I think he's above everybody else. But I think it's also important that the government works with everybody, make sure this happens and sets it in place. You actually have a charter, you actually have a plan which makes sure all these things which Prime Minister Modi has spoken about is implemented. We have the ability, like I said, we have the talent. We have to harness it well. We have to manifest it well. We have to make sure it happens and not just look at 2047. I would say we should achieve it even before 2047. Why should we wait till 2047? We are dealing with a generation which is impatient. We are also getting impatient.
Yeah.
We have the ability. We should make sure it happens before that.
Yes,
That should be
absolutely.
the object.
Thank you very much then to you all for joining us in this discussion.